Good morning, LinkedIn friends, HubSpot Nation. It is time for our first episode of Let's Build AI Skills in 2025. It is wonderful to be back with my best AI pals, George B. Thomas and Nico Lafakis. How you guys doing today?
I'm great. I'm excited to be in the room. I'm excited to learn. Believe it or not, I'm excited that it's 2025. Like I'm ready to rock and roll.
Likewise, I'm excited. I'm very happy. It's awesome to have George back and have the magnanimous trio back, as it were.
Awesome. And we're gonna start with a bang.
Chris, how are you doing, my friend? I didn't forget that part. Like I've been gone for a while, but how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Excited for some filet mignon at the end of the day. Valentine's
Oh,
Day special from Costco.
there you go.
And my wife is an amazing cook. So had a little preview yesterday, and
Nice.
now we got to eat the rest of them. So
There you go.
excited for
Got
that.
gotta love it.
Yeah. So happy Valentine's Day, fellas.
And to everybody out there, happy Valentine's Day.
Hmm.
Yes, indeed. And we're about to make operator our Valentine, I think.
Mm.
Is that right, Nico?
That was nice.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah,
good tie in there.
it's a good transition. Um, did
Although
we
you
want
may
to?
not, if you're watching this and you're HubSpot admin or in RevOps, it may feel like you don't want it to be a Valentine, maybe. Um, but we invite you to keep an open mind and really dig in and try to understand, what is happening here. This is very important for everybody in the HubSpot ecosystem to understand what's going on here.
Mm,
Okay, so first of all, I see that you're in Operator, but you're also in HubSpot.
mm-hmm.
Okay, this is already interesting.
I know.
So we've got
So
operator has accessed um, the Let's Build demo portal of HubSpot. Correct?
Eh,
yes.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And then Nico, you're literally just typing in, "Hey, navigate over to workflows
Hmm.
and create a contact workflow with an event trigger that's based on the object being created, please." Like that you those are pretty simple human terms that you're giving it. Like,
Yeah.
And now it's telling us what it's doing. So exploring icons, searching for workflows. This is
So now
interesting.
it's gotten frustrated now. So it's like
oh, it's
skip
using
right to
global
the.
search. Well, is it frustrated or is it smart? Because as somebody who teaches HubSpot all the time, like one of the gems is like I'm always like search before scroll, and I get people to lean into like just go to the search and type the thing you're looking for, and like because that navigation has grown, it has grown over the years.
That's true.
So
Fair. Fair.
Speaking of 5 different ways to do everything in HubSpot, getting to workflows.
I mean, and the fun thing is, it literally picked contact object. It's going in, and it is building the workflow. Like I immediately want to go buy 5 more computers and 5 accounts to and then just go randomly from one computer to the next typing directions for it to do stuff in HubSpot for me. And
Hey.
maybe my clients. No, I'm just kidding. For me. We'll keep it for me for right now.
Oh man. Yes. Please proceed. My I mean, everybody knows that like when we first talked about this, right? My first drawback was the fact that they were using it for like reserving uh or making a reservation at
I
a
hate that.
restaurant or whatever. Yeah, and it's like okay, cool, but what
You know how many
else is it
times I
supposed to be
actually
doing?
reserve a seat at a restaurant?
Right.
I drive there, I show up, I sit down, I eat. Like, come on. This is a real use case we're talking about this morning.
Can we get some more volume on your mic, Nico?
On mine? Oh, I'm sorry.
Or maybe I'm just too loud. Maybe I'll back mine up.
No. My
I
bad.
think we're good. Yeah, that's good. And this is like my favorite part is how it shares what it's thinking, how it reasons, the
Oh
actions
yeah.
it's taking. Like if you're uncertain, if you still think it's like a black box and like that's why you can't trust it, they have moved beyond that in a lot of these tools and tells you exactly what's going on as it's thinking, as it's formulating an answer, even in this case, as it's moving through the screen.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting too. Well, two things that come to my mind. One, I love what you're saying, Chris, because last night I was playing around with deep research, and the right-hand sidebar where it tells you what it's looking at, what it's thinking about, what it's digging into next. I was sitting there half watching TV, half fascinated with like, oh my God, like this is what it's doing. To be able to see this on the left-hand side in operator is amazing. That's the first place that my mind goes, is like you you you're learning and doing along with, right? And so
Collaboration.
here's the other thing too, where my brain goes is like, if I have something like a bunch of repeatable processes over, let's just, imagine it's a bunch of different portals. For instance, let's say I have to go update a website theme in HubSpot for 50 clients. Well, imagine having a text expander snippet that you could just do like a pound sign and the action you wanted operator to take once it was logged in, and you could literally get it to like go do the thing that you don't want to have to do anymore. So like, because right now we're watching Nico type, but like if you're a smart human, this is why HubSpot has snippets. If you're a smart human, you figure out how to encapsulate those things that you type over and over and over again into something you can reuse. So like operator plus text expander plus your brain, holy crap.
See,
Yeah.
now I don't know why it's struggling to do this, especially since I used like the language, right? So looking below, you can see only enroll contacts that meet these conditions. And I specifically asked it, add a condition. So there's a little bit of a disconnect, but I'm waiting for it to give up this next time so that I can actually manually do the change and then hopefully teach it.
What you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, like, because I don't know if I've seen anything about this, but I'm super interested in how operator and maybe ChatGPT memory work hand in hand. Like if you do
Mhm.
tell it to remember something or teach it something, does it? Here's the other thing. I know I'm weird, but I'm kind of fascinated when we get to the end of this workflow for you to be like, now please go name this workflow and give it a description. I want to know what it does with that, because I'm looking at the unnamed workflow, and as a HubSpot super admin, I'm like, don't you dare. Don't you dare save that.
On Tuesday night, it
Yep.
named it like out the gate.
Oh, dang gone. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we highlighted how it did that without Nico asking it to. And in cases like that, I'm sure it's working off any best practice, list or how to it's probably trained on,
Yeah.
but it still technically like took an action without the instruction to do so. So
Which is amazing.
can be.
Well, can be. Yeah. I should check myself. See, I always come from a place of, not always. I got to be careful with that too. Most times in my life, I come from a place of a positive intent. But I can see where it could go completely sideways if it wasn't the action you didn't want it to take. So
Yeah.
I love that you just taught it. Like, here's what I did.
Yeah. This is why like I'm done calling AI a tool. Like this is true collaboration. Like this is what real life human to human collaboration looks like when you're training somebody on HubSpot and it's workshopy and we're getting into the tools. You get as far as you can and you're like, okay, I can help with this part. And then you talk about what you did and make sure it's understood. Like that's what's happening here.
Now,
Right.
here's my question for you guys, because I like to pay attention to different types of people. What do you say to the human who might watch this in the future or is watching it now and say, "Well, I could have already built that."
I'm saying that this is a training process, and I'm onboarding operator to this particular process. So what I would be using this for, why I would be using this, if there are workflows that you know that you have to do for most every client, and they're like fairly complex, or but you know you do them like quite often. If it's like an entire series of things, if it's reports, if it's emails, pretty much any sort of asset where you need to click around in the space a lot, right? This is, and I'm sure we all know how many repetitive clicking tasks there are. So this is a way for you to be able to do that, save the task that you've done, right? And then, hold on, please proceed. And later on, when I come back, it's just a matter of me clicking for that singular task to get done, as opposed to
Yeah,
me having to go through all of these steps again.
yeah,
So essentially, I'm doing the one-time onboarding
love it,
of my
love it.
employee, right?
Here's another question that comes to my mind, and by the way, I think this is why it's magical that we get together, because I just think in weird ways. I think. And also, I'm not scared to just throw shit out into the universe. And if people get upset because I do it, then hi, I'm George B. Thomas, the authentic human, and that's what I do. Should Super be scared?
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, see, you
yeah,
know what I'm saying? Like, I look at this and I'm like, if I have a tool that has historically made things faster, and now I have another tool that can make things faster, does it change the game that I have to play in the future?
Well,
oh,
here's my challenge to that. Having had many conversations with Matt over the past couple years, um, and this is just another like notch in the belt, or whatever the analogy should be in that. Like, if you are basing your business on build out IP inside
Mm,
of HubSpot, like there is a ticking clock on how long you'll be able to do that, because once it's in HubSpot, it's easy to bring it into other HubSpots. But now you don't even need to do that if you have access to Operator.
yeah.
And so, from at least the way I understand it, from Super's perspective, his objective has always been like enablement and adoption, and like the build out stuff is really to help partners move faster so that they can focus on all these enablement activities that include making videos for your specific
Yeah.
portal, adding process maps for your specific business,
So
all
a
the stuff
piece
that gets
of
left behind.
like what I hear
Right.
you saying, Chris, is a piece of what they leaned in to assist a subsection with might not be as important, but still, and I'm gonna stand on this pulpit till the day I die. It is great for documentation. It's great for in portal education, like that kind of. You're saying that's still hot, heavy, beefy, needs to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's helpful when it is. And that's where the other side of this coin is, when that is for user adoption. That matters
Oh,
if there's users,
yeah, yeah.
right?
This operator
And
is a user.
right. So, uh, yeah, a lot of disruption likely to take place here. And, if you ever feel like you can't get straight answers out of the product team when they're on admin hugs and showing off new products, and like, this is why. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much unknown about the impact of AI over the next 12 months. I'm like, I can't wait to get to inbound and
Oh,
see what life is like
oh,
there.
it'll
Like
be interesting
I mean,
without a
see
doubt.
if my as far as I'm concerned, my prediction at 24 is on pace to come true, and that is, you know, each user that is using HubSpot won't even be doing stuff inside the portal. Just be either chat activated or voice activated. You know who I'm at. I'm a salesperson. I want to talk to my 10 top prospects today, or I want to get 10 scheduled meetings with the prospects, with my top 10 prospects today, and then an agent of some sort. This is where I feel like I'm also excited to see operator plus agent AI, and you'll be able,
Mm.
you won't have to teach. You might not have to teach operator as much about HubSpot if you can utilize agent AI in that way. And it comes, so that agent, whatever the interface is, comes back and says, all right, these 3 prospects like phone calls. So here's tasks for you to execute. These 4 like in-person meetings. So I've scheduled those for you, and here's where you need to be on this date at this time. And then these 3 are okay with video calls. So we've got a Zoom meeting set up, and all of this stuff is on your calendar.
And these 5 have embraced AI, so we've just sent the prospecting agent to go ahead and take care of those. But what's interesting, Chris, when I hear you talk about that, and I love that we're having commentary as people can watch Nico kind of like train operator to do what we're trying to do here, and I'm even fascinated in watching the advanced prompt engineering that Nico is doing, meaning having a conversation with the system. But Chris, like you were natively saying things, but I go back to like, okay, yeah, there is a property in HubSpot right now called like likelihood to close, right? How many people have even gone into Copilot right now and seen like, hey, who are my top 10 people with the highest property value of likeliness to see if it even spit that out, which it might not yet, but it will in the future. Then you started to say, well, this person likes this person likes this. Well, my question is, has anybody asked, and I'm sure the answer is yes, so I can't really say is anybody, but if you're watching this in the future or right now, and you're not asking, how do you best like to communicate as a question? Because one of the questions I love to ask is, how do you best like to educate? Do you like video? Do you like audio? Do you like text? Because if I know, I'll deliver it to you in that way. But how do you best like to communicate? Phone, email. If you know that, now it's a data source. It's context to Chris, the story that you are telling that could be a true story inside of your HubSpot portal.
Yeah. But one step further, and this is where I think Frame.ai is going to come into play, which we get to see on the Admin Hug in April. They're all about managing unstructured data, right? So, and this is where AI becomes a likely shortcut to anybody who hasn't truly digitally transformed yet. As long as your data can get into HubSpot, whether it be from Outlook or whatever other system, being able to see that, oh, this person, you've tried to call them 3 times, and they never answer the phone. You've sent them 10 emails, they've never answered those, but you got this LinkedIn conversation over here with this person. So the task is to reach out on LinkedIn, not to give them a call, not to send an email.
Yeah.
And we can see through activity and behavior in the system that now the AI is giving you that context, whether you've got the property or not. And I think that's where a lot of businesses will end up. As comes up on the show, Let's Build Your Audience with Joshua Oakes a lot.
Yeah.
There is just a few questions. Like if you ask them at the beginning of the process, it helps, just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it would be great if we could get everybody to ask those questions.
I feel like we should ask a question right now for the people who are watching this or the people that watch it in the future. We should play a game of Jeopardy in the actual chat pane. The question is, how many companies has HubSpot acquired in the last 60 days? Like, oh my God. So literally, Chris, you go frame.ai, and I'm like, yep, I live under a rock. I don't know what he's talking about. I didn't know that they were and I go to frame.ai, and it's like, big news! Exclamation. This is at the top of their website, their homepage, by the way. Big news! Exclamation mark. HubSpot has signed an agreement to acquire Frame AI. Didn't we just acquire like 2 or 3 other I don't own HubSpot. I'm not part of HubSpot. But didn't the ecosystem, didn't the orange monster just acquire like
We the
2 or 3
people.
other organizations? Like,
Cash flow in October, Frame AI in December.
I mean, what? They're on a, ladies and
That should
gentlemen, they're
be,
on a
honestly,
mission.
that should be like the two missing pieces for a lot of people. And I think from a true customer platform perspective, it's connecting all of the dots, right? And you get a bunch of unstructured data sitting inside of emails and activity. And, people don't like rolling through long, activity feeds and the contact record. And as much as the team has built out, a lot better organization of that. I got better with attachments. Custom events is now so much better, but that's going to bring even more stuff in. So Frame AI is going to be, awesome. And just even if you educate yourself on the difference between structured data and unstructured data, like you'll be, a step ahead of a lot of other people. But then cash flow, like the quote to cash stuff, like connecting those dots. When we truly depend on AI to tell us who our 10 best customers are, like the revenue data is a part of that complete picture. So, real excited to see what that comes through with this year. Again, not replacing all of the ERPs and accounting systems, replacing some of what they do, maybe, like, especially when it comes to communicating with the human relationships that you're trying to manage, but at least bringing that data in so that we, for the first time, have an easily maintained, trusted, unified view of the customer for most businesses.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you what is causing it to
It's
do
having
this, but
stage fright.
something like that. Like legitimately. Oh wow, and then it just went back to the wrong place. Oh, never mind. Okay. Yeah, no, it was having an issue where like it seems to keep looping back to one of the previous things we've asked it to do, almost like it's going back to check to see like what we did to change it. Maybe I'm not entirely sure, but this time I just asked it to put the branch in place, and I have noticed that it's taking screenshots, right? So I have noticed the fact, no offense, HubSpot, that like when you add something like that, right, it offsets the view, and so then it like struggles to go navigate to try to put like recenter the view for itself so that it can actually like see what it's supposed to do next and everything like it needs to be like centered up for it, which makes perfect sense. But this seems to be a bit of a struggle in terms of operating the navigation for it to do that. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely see that it's in it. Well, this is the infancy. It's hard to say. Like, I wouldn't say that whatever is next isn't going to be like whatever's next is way better than this. I mean, they already, Sam just announced that he is actually going back. They're going to stick with GPT and they're going to do GPT-5, and he's basically said that everything is just going to kind of roll up into one now, like it did for GPT-4. he understands and realizes that like all of the different model names going out all over the place, and people are having a hard time figuring out like what model to use for what.
Hashtag confusion.
Yeah.
See, the robots know which one to pick and use. Us humans are like,
I know.
I don't know.
So
By the way, Chris and Nico, I gotta tell you guys, this can be an episode for another day. Because I know, Chris, that you had a goal and we're at that goal. But I created a prompt that says, I want to create the ultimate guide for structured and unstructured data in a CRM like HubSpot and use a solution like Frame.ai. It asked me, who's the target audience? What's the scope? Frame AI integrations, like what are you looking for? Format preference, technical depth. To which I said, CRM administrators, general and deep dive information, all about Frame AI and HubSpot, an ultimate guide in paragraph style with very few bullet points and no emojis. Technical depth, start basic and end advanced. By the way, it's doing the deep research right now. I don't know how long it'll take, but we're at about 10 sources and chugging along. And so once it's done, if it's any good, maybe I'll share it with the community. I'm just going to say, like you said, at least start to understand this. If I can deliver something to the community where they can start to understand this, then we'll deliver it.
Awesome. That sounds like a great topic for next week. Deep research, see how it works. We'll dig in. And until then, folks, everybody have a great Valentine's Day and a wonderful weekend. See you next time.
See ya.
Good to be back with you guys.